So this is the first version of my website from 2002, from summer. Wow. It was based on the design of a specific book that was called the Red Cross book. So it has the black and red, but dreadful. And then I eventually updated it to look like this. So a little bit better, but my website looked like this for like 10 years before I actually like sat down and, started thinking about like my brand identity and what it was going to be. And I redesigned my website to look like this. It's like this is like the logo that I created for all of this, and then I eventually, because I started realizing, you know what, nobody really goes to my website anymore, so I should just change it to have my channel, URL on there. So if you're not familiar with Evangelion, the little mark in the center for the O is the face of one of the angels, one of the monsters in the show, but instead of like having like the little circular eyes, it's got like the happy eyes, and it's encircled by the force field that they emit. So it's like my idea was like this sort of like pause vibe idea. So like this is my social icon that I designed. The main robot in the show is purple, so I kind of went with purple. And this is my standard social media banner that I designed, kind of derivative of all of that. This is what my end card design looks like. So like what I was saying before, like the upper left-hand corner, where it says subscribe is obviously to subscribe. The lower left is occasionally, I have a couple people that have made music that I have, basically emailed and say, hey, I really like the music that you made. Can I use it in, my show? And I'll just, give you a little plug or whatever. And they said, sure. So like, that's a good way to like find free music. And then on the right side is other relevant videos that I have made. That's my Twitch stream channel for like when I just feel like casual gaming, because I just, even though like what I do is anime, I also like video games. And then a slight variation of my social media icon, and that's the social banner for that, because I also play video games. These are my business card designs that I did. The ones on the left are the old, and the ones on the right are like the new. The ones on the left are just not very good. So I just kind of was like, I need to work on that. This is a logo that I designed for a podcast. So like I'm kind of reusing a lot of the same like design marks to try and like create like a, consistent brand identity across all the things that I'm having with, what I'm doing with my show, my social media. This is an example graphic from one of the videos that I did where I was kind of illustrating like how, the parts of the show relate to each other. And like I was saying, people like to be reminded of completely useless information. Like, hey, the first tape of this show was first released in English X number of years ago. People go crazy for that kind of stuff. It's weird. Other kind of dumb things. It's like, hey, how can I make this show relevant to some holiday that has nothing to do with it? Oh, I remember like there's this one PC game where like the characters have dumb costumes, so I made these things. And then it got even more ridiculous, like Arbor Day, trees. So I was like, okay. But I all kind of started with like this really one dreadful looking website many years ago, and then I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and put as much effort into this as possible. So there's nothing after this, and I'm not in a terribly, rush to get out of here. So until like somebody on staff comes and tells me to leave, I have plenty of time, I guess, to you can pick my brain. I can like, if you can tell me what you're working on, I can give you like my advice or maybe somewhere to go from that. I don't have like all of my notes in this, but like at the bottom here, I have a short link to a doc. At the very least, it has my contact information, so I can share like the names of the books and things like that I've mentioned or suggested for you after MAGLabs. And if you have any questions, please go right ahead. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, I need to sort of copy all like that kind of stuff into, like right now it's just kind of like the name of the panel and my information and my contact information and then like notes to follow. But yeah, everything I have in here I'm gonna drop into that document. It's all kind of from somewhere else, but there's like 4 different factors of copyright. One is like what it is you're referencing. Like if you're referencing news, for example, you have much more leeway to use it. If you're referencing a movie, you have less leeway. There's the amount of it that you're using. For example, if you make a review and you use only like what is equivalent to 2% of the entire work, that's nothing, and then there's like a third, which is not usually relevant to like making videos about other things on YouTube. And then the fourth is like, is it a adequate substitute for the actual work? Like if you make a Let's Play, for example, of Contra for NES, you can argue that it's an adequate substitute, but you could also argue that it isn't because video games are interactive. But if you have a Let's Play of if you have a reaction video where you watch anime or you watch Stranger Things or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, and just occasionally you go, oh, that's cool, you're not actually, you're not actually adding anything new to the work, then it can be seen as an adequate substitute. And I'm sure if somebody did the research, they could find that people deliberately watch reaction channels and just ignore the person that's going, oh, that's cool, because they want the easy way of finding something for free. But yeah, fair use is something to look into, especially if you're going to be like making content about other things like movies, music, video games, anime, what have you. Yes. It really depends. Sometimes I struggle with this myself. I would say that like a good exercise would be like think about what you're like if you're talking about like whether it's an essay or just a topical video that you're writing and explaining about something. Think about it like a music video, or to write with visuals in mind. But it can really be like I've struggled with like I've done some videos where like I've actually legitimately struggled with like what can I put here? Like I'm just talking about something at length, and like I don't really have any like specific things, but like if you're talking about like something a particular like emotion, like in like for me it's not too hard because I'm doing a series of videos about a particular anime that I know really really well, and I can think about like just like the core emotion of what I'm talking about, and like I can think of like a particular expression from a character, where I can like insert that. But it's to some degree it's a matter of creativity. Some degree it's a matter of writing to a visual, but what I would suggest is find other like as far as like people like that are like people in filmmaking, the best like thing you can do, like if you're an aspiring filmmaker, the best thing that you can do is watch a lot of film and watch how other people find the solution to the problem that you're having. So like if there's other people making videos about the topic that you're making a video about, watch them and see how they approach these same sorts of things. Like I watch other anime YouTube, I don't watch a whole lot of anime YouTubers, like it's not my thing, but like occasionally I watch their videos just to see like how they approach that. And usually it's like a barrage of all kinds of different visuals from all kinds of different shows that just all kind of share that theme they're talking about. And I'm just like, man, I don't know how you grab clips from so many different shows. That seems like it takes so much time. So does that kind of help you a little bit? Yeah, it's always a really great it's a double-edged sword. Like sometimes I avoid watching stuff by other people in the same area of the topic that I'm kind of working with, because I don't ever want to I want to have the plausible deniability to say, yeah, I didn't watch your video, But if there's somebody that's making a video about a different series, but they, have the same general visual style, you can be like, he's using even just a good example. Well, I don't want to screw up my presentation right now, but way back in the beginning, I used GIFs, for example, just to kind of encapsulate the idea of what I'm talking about. That's part of when I'm making a presentation, I'll just kind of what's a word that I'm talking about in my presentation, and I'll just kind of go into Google image search and just start searching for GIFs or memes or something like that, and I'll just use that as the background for that to just try to make it a little bit more visually interesting. Think about what you're talking about in that sentence, and just maybe even just go into Google image search and search for GIFs from TV shows that are relevant. Idea Channel did this. PBS Digital Studios had a series called Idea Channel, and it was long form, detailed essays about pop culture, where they would relate things like the death of the author or the hero's journey to things like Stranger Things and anime and video games and movies, to really get into these really deeply philosophical topics. But they always have all these little GIFs popping in of Chris Pratt, I was flabby, now I'm swole, or whatever. And that's kind of how they but it would be a dude on camera in a corner of a room with this background that was made up of record covers or something like that. But they would periodically pop in little GIFs and little memes and stuff that were relevant to what he was talking about, just to kind of break that up. Yes. Oh, that's tough, because it used to be that you could, it didn't matter how. It used to be that the only thing that really mattered was making content making good content at a rate that your audience was satisfied with. For example, one of the people that I support on Patreon is Norman Caruso, who is the gaming historian. He used to try to make a video every single week. And to make it doable, he would take what could be a longer video and just break it up into chunks, manageable chunks for a weekly distribution. He would piece them out. And eventually he just got kind of tired and burned out doing that, and he shifted to doing longer form things. He did a hour-long video about the history of Tetris. And I was just man, that topic has already been beaten to death. But he did a 50-plus minute video about the history of Tetris, and it was awesome. But he didn't put out anything for 2 months beforehand. He just focused on making this one really long, really detailed video. And this was months ago, so I don't know how this, how the algorithm affected him. But it used to be that you could do that, where you could really just invest your time in making something really, really good, like Flash animations. And now it's YouTube, with the way things are discovered and how things are distributed to people's feeds, they really want you to make content on a regular basis, weekly, ideally. But I don't know. I can't do that. I can't do a video every week. I would just get so burned out. So I try to encourage people to subscribe, to enable notifications, to subscribe on social media. That's another, like, I put out videos on social media, but also if you make quality content that people will watch and want to watch, if they don't get the video in their subscription feed, it will trend. So like I know this from like my videos. My videos tend to trend pretty well. So like if somebody's watching something, like another video about Evangelion, a lot of times my videos will show up as like the next thing. And you can go into your YouTube Creator Academy and look at your analytics, and you can see how people are finding your videos. And it's usually like 25% are actually from your subscribers. Sometimes they're from search. Sometimes they're from like you linking from off-site from social media. But like, as far as like, there is the algorithm that wants you to make content like on a weekly basis, and I am resistant to that. I say that the first and foremost driving factor for everything you should do should be making quality content about something that you are passionate about. That's how you will grow something. And that's how you will find your audience, and that's how you will find the people that will really give a shit about what you're doing enough to say like, I'll give you $2 a month on Patreon, and that's like, you get like, a handful of people to do that, and it really starts to grow into something. Like I've done the math, and like if you make like $100 a month in AdSense, you'll make an additional $150 a month from Patreon backing. Like you'll make even more. So quality content is the most important thing, but also making quality content regularly that your audience is happy about. So for me, that's like every 2 weeks, which is like, putting like 20 hours into a video, over 2 weeks, which is entirely doable for me. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thanks for coming. I hope that like it is such a like. Did I just go for like an extra? Yeah, 21 minutes. That's okay. I could do a panel just about copyright. Like there's so much in like that as a topic, but it's looking into fair use, looking into like the Creator Academy and what they say about fair use is totally worth investing that time in there, especially if you're doing something that is hinged on other things like movies, video games, anime, music, etc. But hold on to that link. I will try to digest like everything that I have in here into that, particularly like the books. Those are totally worth looking into. Like it's good motivation, and hopefully there's like some things that you can like hold on to and recall and be like, yeah, I should do that. So thanks for coming. I hope you learned something, and I will probably see you at Super Mag Fest too.